welcome back to my channel. So today what we're going to be talking about is ways to get out of a funk. Some people call it feeling in the dumps. Some people call it feeling like they're in a rut. But basically this is a state where you may be experiencing low motivation. You kind of notice and recognize that you're not getting the normal things that you can get done, or you just don't feel up to doing the things that you have to do on a daily basis. So usually another way people describe being a funk is like, I feel like it's a place that I can't climb out of. I feel like it's a place where I know I'm not myself. I'm kind of like a shell of myself, or I'm just not showing up to life or my life how I would like to. So that's kind of like a definition of it. So I wrote down some tips that can help you, and this is just part one. I'll have a part two up as well, but part one is start to identify your high energy times. Okay, so we know overall in a funk, like your motivation, your energy levels are going down, but usually there is a time of day where you do have a little bit of energy. And if you are looking at this and you're like, well, I can't really identify a time where I have energy, think of the times where you have a responsibility to fulfill. So that may mean caretaking, that may mean dropping your kids off to school, that may mean going to a class, but something where you are going to do even though you are in a funk, things that you absolutely have to do. And even though you may not have the energy in those times, those are usually times where you exert some energy. So identify the times where you have more energy, or the times that are already attached to a high level of responsibility for you. And in those times, so whether you say, okay, that time for me, Jade, is like from 10 to 11. Okay, so during that time is when you're slowly gonna start doing small steps to get back into your routine. Usually one of the things that folks notice in this stage is maybe their environment gets a little messy, like their room gets a little messy. So during that identified time, for about 5 or 10 minutes, you're gonna start taking small bites off of the big task that you kind of let go the last couple of days. So say for example, if I'm attaching it to a high energy time from 10 to 11, I may break it down as such. So from 10:10 to 10:15, I'll start folding clothes. From 10:30 to 10:40, I'll wash some dishes. So we're slowly trying to introduce ourselves back into our routine during the time where we're already up, or that we already have a little bit more energy. Okay, so that's the first tip. Identify those high energy times, or identify the times where you're already up due to an outside responsibility. Okay, so the second thing is, and this kind of ties into what we just talked about, but set a timer on your phone. So sometimes when you're in a funk, 5 or 10 minutes can seem like a long time. But this timer is gonna help you, one, hold yourself accountable, but two, it's gonna help you have a starting place. And one thing you're doing with the timer is, once you haven't done something for like a couple of days, or you've avoided doing a responsibility, your mind is gonna make it seem like, okay, this is such a big thing that I haven't been doing these last couple of days, so it's gonna be enormous and it's gonna take a lot of energy to do it. But with a timer, it's almost like you're kind of tricking your mind to say, well, we're just doing it for 5 minutes, or we're just doing it for 2 minutes. So it tricks your brain to say, okay, well, 5-10 minutes. We're not gonna have to clean up the whole thing, just 5 to 10 minutes worth. We're not gonna complete the whole assignment. We're just gonna do 2 to 3 minutes of it, or 5 to 10 minutes of it. Okay, so it's kind of decreasing the threat of how big the assignment or the task looks in your mind. Okay, so set that timer, and then that timer, once you complete that timer, it'll kind of give you a sense of, okay, momentum, like I've done that. Maybe you feel like doing something more, you can set another timer. Maybe you kind of get that burst of like, oh, I'm so proud of myself for climbing out of this funk. So that also kind of gives you that motivation, that internal motivation of like, I did this, so let me do a little more, or I'm being productive, or I'm slowly climbing out of this funk. Okay. So the third thing is to connect or reconnect with a core value. So real quick, I'll give you an example of this. So if a core value of mine is harmony, usually if I'm in a funk, then I may not be in a harmonious place in life. And that may be communicated through how my room looks. That may be communicated through just me not showing up to my workouts. That may be me not connecting with my social support system in a way that promotes harmony. So if I connect to my core value of harmony to say, you know what, it's not about calling, and it's not a task, it's not a chore, it's who I'm trying to be, right? So in the book's Atomic Habits, one of the things that he talked about was kind of shifting that language of I don't read books, or I read books to I'm a reader. All right. So kind of changing that language and that mindset of like, I want a clean environment, or I clean my room, to I clean my room because it creates harmony, and I'm a harmonious person. Like my life is in sync. My life promotes harmony. My actions in life create this harmony. It creates a deeper sense of purpose for you to connect to that will help pull you out of the funk, right? So I have kids. So one example of this may be if I feel like I'm not doing my homework with my kids because I'm in a funk, right? So I'm not saying to myself, I need to do this homework with them. I'm saying to myself, I want to be the type of parent that spends quality time with my kids. I want to be interested in what they're interested. Intelligence and academics are an important core value to me that I want to pass on to my kids. So I'm going to connect to that versus just connecting to, oh, this is just another thing that I have to do. Okay, so I hope this has helped. This is part 1. I'll come back with part 2. Bye, y'all.